knowing that audio was probably going to come out along with additional tapes, whether they be video or audio is unclear at this particular moment in time. Shannon Sharpe felt compelled to come out in his own defense. In my perfect world, he moves on. And somehow, some way, we find this all to be false. But it doesn't seem like that's the way things are about to go down, considering who Mr. Buzbee is.
Football Hall of Famer and broadcaster Shannon Sharpe says he's stepping aside from his job at ESPN in light of new allegations. On Sunday, a woman filed a $50 million civil lawsuit in the state of Nevada.
Yeah, I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
You sharing text messages, that's just sharing too much. We didn't want to hear about nobody getting hogtied in your bedroom and your salad getting tossed while you wearing a collar. It's too much.
All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is.
All right, Unlocked fam, you've seen the headlines, you've probably seen the whispers. But the actual story behind Shannon Sharpe's sudden brutal exit from ESPN? Folks, it's wilder, messier, and frankly way more disturbing than most people realize. We're not talking about a quiet retirement here. We're talking about a full-blown scandal that dropped like a bomb, taking down one of the biggest names in sports media and leaving his reputation in absolute tatters. This isn't just a career setback. This looks like a total implosion triggered by alleged behavior so reckless, so out of pocket, it has people wondering if the man had lost his mind. And here on Unlocked, we're peeling back every single layer of this nightmare scenario, because trust me, the juicy, jaw-dropping details they don't want you to see, that's where the real story begins.
Race play, Shannon Sharpe. Race play? I don't even want to talk about this, but the more videos I scroll past talking about Shannon Sharpe and this relationship that he had with this 19-year-old. And honestly, I was just assaulted by this information. I didn't know anything about it. And I'm scrolling, minding my business, and I see a deluge of text messages that he released from this girl that are weird and with an obvious race fetish. And it's not just her with the race fetish. He obviously was turned on by these conversations as well. And he only released what she was saying. Put a big black baby in me. Oh my gosh, I can't believe. I wouldn't be surprised if she was calling him the N-word during coitus. He's into that. And if this man is turned on sexually by being racialized in such a weird way.
I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
But you tried to say what you tried to say.
I'm looking right at you.
I know you looking at your
I ain't backing down. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl.
I know.
This is your auntie talking to you. Take your and get you an old out there that can love you old. You trying to hang out with these young. You can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it.
Shannon was out.
The initial news hit like a shockwave across the sports world. Shannon Sharpe suddenly parting ways with ESPN. For years, he'd been a fixture, especially on First Take, sparring with Stephen A. Smith. Love him or hate him, he was there. Then, poof, gone. The official statement was typically vague, the kind of corporate speak designed to smooth things over. Shannon himself put out something that sounded like he was just taking a little breather, maybe planning a comeback down the line, saying he was stepping away temporarily. Temporary? Insiders at ESPN, however, quickly started singing a completely different tune. The whispers weren't just whispers, they were a roaring chorus saying Shannon didn't step away from ESPN. He was shoved hard. According to multiple sources reportedly close to the situation within the network, it wasn't Shannon's call at all. He was pushed out, shown the door with zero hesitation. ESPN just gave him enough rope to make it sound like it was his decision. A final courtesy, maybe. Or perhaps just damage control to avoid the messiness of a public firing announcement. But behind the scenes? The word was absolute. They were done. Finished. The ESPN brass reportedly wanted nothing, absolutely nothing, to do with him or the swirling cloud of controversy that had suddenly engulfed him. The break was reportedly clean, immediate, and irreversible. They didn't want his name associated with their brand anymore, period. Sources are even saying it's effectively a lifetime ban from the network. Think about that for a second. 1 minute you're on national TV, debating sports, living large. The next, you're allegedly persona non grata at one of the biggest media companies on the planet.
All of us have someone to answer to. No matter how maverick we try to be, and we own our own business, and we're our sole proprietors like I am on this platform and stuff like that. There are advertisers, there are sponsors, there are people you do business with, there are partners, and there are bosses.
But what happened? What could possibly cause such a swift, definitive downfall for a guy who seemed to be at the peak of his media career? This isn't about a bad take on LeBron or a heated debate about Tom Brady. This goes deep. The kind of deep that involves legal documents, leaked private messages, and accusations that would make anyone's stomach turn. At the center of this firestorm is a reported multi-million-dollar lawsuit filed by a young woman, allegedly an OnlyFans model, who is making some truly explosive claims. The lawsuit, filed by attorney Tony Buzbee, who has a history of representing accusers in high-profile cases, paints a picture of a relationship, if you can even call it that, built on financial transactions and disturbing demands. And the age gap? It's significant. The accuser is reportedly just 19 years old, 19. Shannon Sharpe is nearing 60. The immediate reaction from pretty much everyone who heard about this wasn't just shock, it was utter disbelief and, frankly, a fair bit of disgust. People online, sports commentators, former colleagues, they couldn't wrap their heads around a man of Shannon's age, stature, and wealth allegedly getting involved in a situation like this with someone so young. The term sugar daddy started flying around social media, and not in a casual, joking way. It was laced with judgment and condemnation.
It's a sad situation. Shannon Sharpe is somebody I work with a couple of days a week. Shannon Sharpe is somebody that I brought to ESPN. To be clear, even though this podcast, this YouTube show is owned and operated by me solely, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be dismissive of ESPN, who employs me in my daytime job on First Take. So I sit here before you today letting you know that they are aware that this is a subject that I was going to broach, because I owe them that courtesy. I am the executive producer of First Take on ESPN. I recruited Shannon. I went and got him and brought him to ESPN. But I'm not the boss. Those are other folks. There are layers to this, and there are certain layers even I am not on. I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously, and we are looking into this very, very closely. In my perfect world, he moves on. And somehow, some way, we find this all to be false. But it doesn't seem like that's the way things are about to go down, considering who Mr. Buzbee is and how emphatic his client is proclaiming that she is right and she's telling the truth. I have no idea what direction ESPN and Walt Disney will go in when it comes to this matter. All I do know is it won't be me making a decision. It'll be others upstairs. In the end, all of us have someone to answer to. No matter how maverick we try to be, and we own our own business, and we're our sole proprietors like I am on this platform and stuff like that. There are advertisers, there are sponsors, there are people you do business with, there are partners, and there are bosses. That's the situation unfortunately, that Shannon Sharpe finds himself in.
But the age gap, while alarming, is reportedly just the tip of the iceberg in this alleged arrangement. The lawsuit and reports based on leaked material hint at something far more specific and, for many, completely repulsive. We're talking about alleged race play. Twisted, demeaning, racially charged role-playing that has sent a wave of revulsion across the internet. Multiple sources and social media discussions are focusing on claims that Shannon was allegedly paying this young woman for specific sexual acts that involved disturbing racial dynamics. The details are murky, and understandably, most media outlets are hesitant to print the explicit accusations word for word, but the implication and the reactions are crystal clear. People are reportedly gagging online, expressing utter disgust that a prominent figure like Shannon Sharpe would allegedly engage in such behavior. It throws everything he's ever stood for, everything he's ever preached about respecting Black women into question. The hypocrisy, if these allegations are true, is staggering, and the internet is not letting him forget it.
This 3-time Super Bowl champion and this Hall of Famer, who emphatically stated to me over the phone how innocent he is of these allegations that have been levied against him, insisting repeatedly that anything you read, anything you see, anything you hear was fully and totally consensual. In the same breath, what's inescapable is that without us knowing all the merits, he was working with Disney, where I've worked since 2003, excluding my departure from 2009 to 2011. And I was gone for those 2 years. Outside of that, I've been at Disney since October of 2003. I know this place. I know the worldwide leader that is ESPN, who's under the umbrella of Disney. And it wasn't difficult for me to figure out what was transpiring. They didn't need any definitive evidence at this particular moment in time about all of that stuff. Once all the things Shannon Sharpe's lawyer put out there, it was uncomfortable to listen to. And it was not something that Walt Disney once associated with its brand. So to have him on the airwaves while all of that stuff was put out there was not something that Disney was going to take. That is what I mean when I say I'm not surprised.
And here's where the story takes an even darker turn: the evidence. Because this isn't just one person's word against another. Reports indicate that receipts have emerged, hard evidence. We're talking leaked text messages, audio clips, and other material that supposedly back up the accuser's claims. Shannon himself, in a move that baffled many, reportedly leaked some of his text exchanges with the young woman, presumably trying to control the narrative or paint her in a bad light. Big mistake. Huge. Instead of making him look like the victim or someone being set up, those leaked texts reportedly only amplified the disturbing nature of the situation. Fans, online detectives, and journalists immediately started dissecting the messages, and what they found was damning. There were allegedly texts from the woman using explicit, racially charged language. But the context, according to many who analyzed the leaks, suggested she was responding to his requests, allegedly playing a role he had paid her for. The speculation is that Shannon was the one allegedly pushing the twisted race play agenda, and she was simply going along with it as part of their financial arrangement. Shannon's fatal error in leaking her texts was that he conveniently left out his side of the conversation, the messages that would have shown what he was allegedly asking for. But the internet is sharp. People quickly connected the dots, realizing the conversation wasn't happening in a vacuum, and that her wild talk was likely a reaction to his alleged promptings.
People want to walk around thinking you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. You could your own operation. You don't have to answer to anybody. That's not true. I've had people open their mouth and they've said, Stephen A., you work for ESPN. What kind of control do you really have? This is my podcast. This is my YouTube show. I own this. But if you think for 1 second that I could just do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, and there's not going to be any repercussions, you're clueless. And you're destined to fail and fall in your face. Some people sit up there and they look at me and they say, Stephen A. don't get himself in this kind of trouble. How does he pull it off? Well, first of all, there's certain behaviors and proclivities that you never have to worry about me engaging in. But most importantly than that, I often say this about Walt Disney. I'd rather work for a place with standards than one looking for them.
God will put you in place people don't think you belong. And anytime you're somewhere where people don't think you belong, you know what they say, Steve? Well, he don't deserve that. Who are you to tell me what God has made a mistake on me? He don't deserve.
Then came the audio. This, perhaps more than anything else, poured gasoline on the fire. Attorney Tony Buzbee reportedly dropped an explosive audio recording that sent shockwaves. In the clip, a voice allegedly identified as Shannon Sharpe can be heard saying some truly chilling things. The most widely reported line involves an alleged threat to choke the woman, and not just in private. The voice allegedly says he'd do it in public. A horrifying statement on its own, but within the context of the alleged race play and disturbing dynamic, it sounds even more menacing. The audio itself is reportedly strange, almost sounding like part of some kind of role-playing scenario gone terribly wrong. But the terrifying part, according to those who've heard it or heard about it, is how the voice alleged to be Shannon sounds engaged, even into it, despite the dark nature of the conversation. Even if the woman was allegedly baiting him, as some online speculate based on the strange tone, Shannon's alleged reaction is what alarms people. Instead of shutting down such talk, he reportedly leaned into it, making him look incredibly suspect and frankly dangerous in the eyes of the public. This audio, coupled with the leaked texts, created a PR nightmare of epic proportions. It confirmed for many that the situation was far more sinister than just a wealthy man dating a young woman.
Get with a white woman because I was scared she might have me running down the street like Jonathan
There
Majors.
you go. Come on, cat.
Not because I didn't like white women. I think white women are as great as any other women. But I'm not going to act like I'm not scared of them. I have a reason to be scared. You could be Kang the Conqueror, and they could take your rabbit ass down in 2 weekends. And that's the truth of the matter. So I stayed away from that. And remember, I told you the drug story from when I'm in the park.
Yeah.
So these are just the things. I had all of those when I came in. I already was ready for that.
Let's talk about the fallout. Losing ESPN is just the start. Shannon Sharpe built a massive brand outside of ESPN as well. His Club Shay podcast is huge, known for getting A-list guests like Cat Williams for viral interviews. He has numerous endorsements, business ventures, and a carefully cultivated public image as a savvy, successful former athlete turned media mogul. All of that is now reportedly on the line. The $50 million lawsuit is a direct threat to his financial empire. $50 million. Remember that viral clip from his own show where he joked he'd go to hell for $50 million? The irony isn't lost on anyone. It's like the universe heard him and said, okay, let's see if you're serious. Now he's facing a legal battle where that exact staggering amount is on the table, tied directly to the very kind of reckless behavior people warned him about.
36-year-old girl. This is your auntie talking to you. Take your and get your old out there that can love you old. You're trying to hang out with these young and you can't do it, Sandy. You just can't do it.
Told you. I told you. You ain't tell me.
Ah yes, the warnings. Because this isn't the first time Shannon Sharpe has faced scrutiny or been given what now sounds like prophetic advice. People are resurfacing clips from his own podcast where guests allegedly tried to drop some wisdom on him. Perhaps most notably, Cat Williams' explosive interview on Club Shay became an internet sensation. During that interview, Cat, in his signature unfiltered style, allegedly warned Shannon about the dangers of getting involved with certain types of women, specifically mentioning potential pitfalls tied to race and relationships. Many are now interpreting Cat's words as a direct, albeit veiled warning to Shannon about the kind of situation he allegedly found himself in. What makes this even more stunning is the timeline. Based on when Gabriela Zuniga's lawsuit alleges the relationship began, Shannon was reportedly already involved with her when Cat Williams was sitting right in front of him, delivering that chilling warning. Did he listen? Apparently not. He was reportedly too busy laughing it off.
And just one more thing about Mr. Sharpe. Not so sharp, clearly. It is my theory, just my opinion, my theory, not fact, my opinion. I think all of this RACE rhetoric that was in those text messages started with him. It started with him. It's becoming more and more clear to me, in my opinion, that he has a race fetish. He has a fetish for that type of dynamic. Think about it. This was a 19-year-old white woman when he met her. I don't know any 19-year-old white woman that's running around hollering about a big black baby and baby gravy. Shannon was a 54-year-old big black grown man from the backwoods of Georgia. Gravy sound like some he's familiar with. Big black babies, he's probably seen a few in his day. Born in the backwoods of Georgia where he grew up with his grandma and all the other folks. But I just don't think that came from her. Now, is she repeating it back in those text messages? Yes. That's why he released her messages, not his. Peep that. Okay? We haven't seen what his responses was. And I guarantee you, when they post those messages, y'all gonna see. All of that race started with him. It's a fetish. And he could only play that kind of stuff out with a young girl. He couldn't, like Monique was trying to tell him, get an older gal. Older gal ain't going for that. They was going to immediately know he was a freak and a weirdo. A 19-year-old don't know no better. That's why she repeated it back to him, because he said it to her first. Older men, that's why they tend to want to be with younger women. They're more impressionable. They can mold them. They can shape them to be what they want them to be. Do what they want them to do. You let him come to a 40 or 50-year-old woman talking about put a big black baby and baby gravy. We gonna be looking like, what's wrong with you? Yeah, that started with him. Mark my words. It's gonna come out. But that race stuff started with Shane.
And it wasn't just Kat. Shortly after, comedian Monique also appeared on Club Shay. She too, in her own way, allegedly addressed Shannon's relationship choices and the significant age gaps he seemed to favor. She reportedly urged him to find someone closer to his own age, calling those massive age gap relationships a potential setup, a disaster waiting to happen. Again, it seems Shannon either didn't take the advice seriously or felt he was somehow immune to the risks. He reportedly continued down the path that has now led him to this point. The public reaction is brutal. People are mocking him for ignoring these warnings, especially coming from people who seem to have a clearer view of the potential consequences than he did. They see it as peak arrogance, a man who thought his fame and money made him untouchable, too big to fall for what looks like a classic honey trap, or at the very least, a situation that exploded due to his own alleged poor judgment and disturbing desires.
What, Gabby?
Well, you're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah, I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what you did to me.
Okay, well...
Well, what?
Perhaps one of the most criticized aspects of Shannon's alleged reaction to the scandal has been his attempt to play the victim card, specifically trying to frame the situation through a racial lens. After attorney Tony Buzbee filed the lawsuit and started making moves, Shannon reportedly suggested that Buzbee disproportionately targets wealthy black men. He seemingly tried to position himself as being unfairly targeted because of his race and success, even warning that parts of a private tape might be released that would feed into every negative stereotype about black men. Now, attorney Tony Buzbee's case history is a separate discussion, but the internet absolutely exploded with outrage at Shannon's attempt to connect this scandal to racial targeting. The backlash was immediate and ferocious. People online are asking, often with intense sarcasm, how Shannon Sharpe could possibly cry foul about being targeted as a black man when he's allegedly been paying a white woman for degrading race play. The hypocrisy struck many as breathtaking. You're engaging in behavior that itself involves racial dynamics and humiliation, and then when you face legal consequences for it, you try to flip the script and claim you're the victim of racial targeting? The argument simply didn't land. In fact, it backfired spectacularly, making him look even worse and eroding any potential sympathy he might have hoped to garner.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Buzbee, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Buzbee targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine.
Instead of rallying to his defense, many in the online black community and beyond doubled down on the criticism. They pointed out that he allegedly walked himself right into the stereotypes he claims are being used against him. His attempt to leverage the community and claim unfair persecution fell completely flat. It seems his actions, if the allegations are true, speak far louder than his attempts at damage control. The leaked texts he put out, likely intended to discredit the accuser, only amplified the disturbing nature of the alleged race play, making his victim narrative impossible for most people to swallow. Fans are now openly roasting him with memes and jokes about the race play allegations, about his age, about ignoring warnings, and about his failed attempt to play the victim. It's a public spectacle of downfall, fueled by what looks like self-inflicted wounds. And let's not forget Stephen A. Smith in all of this. While Stephen A. put on a public display of concern and well wishes for Shannon, calling the situation unfortunate, many viewers and insiders saw right through it. Stephen A. is known for being competitive, and the dynamic between him and Shannon on First Take was often tense, even if it was just for show. Now, with Shannon gone in disgrace, people are speculating that Stephen A. is privately enjoying the situation, or at least feeling a sense of vindication. His public statements, while outwardly sympathetic, have also included subtle jabs and points that seem designed to highlight Shannon's alleged failures and lack of judgment. Stephen A. reportedly spoke about the seriousness of the accusations, the fact that Disney, ESPN's parent company, doesn't play about its image, and the harsh reality of consequences. He reportedly emphasized that once Disney labels you a liability, it's over. No coming back, no second chances. This messaging, while framed as general life advice, landed squarely on Shannon Sharpe's situation and was interpreted by many as Stephen A. driving the final nail into the coffin. He also reportedly threw shade at Shannon's move of releasing the texts, hinting that it completely backfired and was part of what sealed his fate at ESPN. He even reportedly called out the recklessness of a man Shannon's age getting caught up in such a situation with someone so young, highlighting the lack of self-control. While Stephen A. later claimed he wasn't specifically talking about Shannon, everyone watching knew exactly who he meant. It was a masterclass in delivering a public roasting while maintaining plausible deniability.
This party started. Lay it on me. Get your black over here, buckwheat. Okay, coming straight out the gate with it. Yeah, right. I know that's what you like to be called, ain't it? Buckwheat. Now stop flapping them gigantic lips and using them when they're supposed to use to not talking to their superiors. I see you shucking and jiving out in them fields, and I want a piece. That's all you're good for, so a piece of meat. You walk like you be wading in the water. Ooh, if my daddy and his friends saw you, or they'd take you out so quick. Cause you know he be looking at me. I know you want some of this fat back that I got. No, make your lips all greasy, I know. I think what's the matter? I thought we was just race playing. I thought you liked it.
The whole messy saga is a stark reminder of how quickly a carefully built public image can crumble. Shannon Sharpe went from being a beloved athlete and successful broadcaster to the center of a humiliating scandal involving disturbing allegations, massive legal exposure, and public mockery. His alleged choices, particularly the apparent lack of self-control despite warnings and his age, seem to have directly led him to this precipice. The attempt to buy silence allegedly failed. The attempt to control the narrative by leaking texts allegedly backfired. The attempt to play the victim card allegedly blew up in his face. It's a complete and utter collapse. His legacy, which he seemed so protective of, is now inextricably linked to these dark, uncomfortable allegations. The future looks uncertain, dominated by a multi-million-dollar lawsuit and the monumental task of trying to salvage any shred of his reputation.
Sharpe, we want out of the group chat now. Like right now, because it's getting disgusting and you need to act your age. First, we had to hear the audio from when you accidentally went live that absolutely nobody asked. We could have went our whole lives without hearing that. Then you started doing infomercials about ED pills. And now you sharing text messages that's just sharing too much. We didn't want to hear about nobody getting hogtied in your bedroom and your salad getting tossed while you wearing a collar. It's too much. At what point do you say you just too old? Be like that old grandfather that every time he come around, he want to tell you about all the women he got. And when everybody else is talking, he want to talk like he's still in his 20s and he hanging out with the young folks. Pack it up. You just too freaked out at your old age. And we don't want to know about, we truly don't want nothing to do with it. Please, why didn't you just share that in the courts? Share it with the lawyers. Why did we need to see that? Sick of him.
So where does this leave us? The legal battle is likely just beginning, with the courts ultimately tasked with sorting out the truth behind the allegations and the evidence. But regardless of the legal outcome, the court of public opinion seems to have already delivered a harsh verdict. Shannon Sharpe's career at ESPN is over, his reputation severely damaged, and the trust many people had in him has been shattered. It's a cautionary tale about power, money, alleged disturbing behavior, and the explosive consequences when they all collide. And folks, in the world of celebrity scandal and legal drama, this one feels like it's just getting started. The questions linger. How much more evidence is out there? What will come out during the lawsuit? And is there any way back from this for Shannon Sharpe? This situation is still unfolding rapidly, with new details potentially emerging that could shift the narrative again. If you want to stay updated on this kind of breaking drama and deep dive into the controversies shaking the world of sports and entertainment, make sure you're subscribed to Unlocked. We're keeping a close eye on every twist and turn in this wild story. And I want to hear what you think about this whole mess. Was Shannon Sharpe truly targeted, or did his alleged actions set him up for this downfall? And what about ESPN and Disney's swift decision to cut ties? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. Your perspective is a crucial part of this conversation. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found this breakdown insightful, share it with anyone else who needs to know the full scope of this scandal, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next video diving into another explosive controversy. Trust me, there's always more drama waiting to be unlocked. See you in the comments and in the next video.